Howdy, it's David Duford at davidduford.com, where I coach, recruit, and train insurance agents to become top producing insurance professionals. Thank you for joining me. Today's topic is how to produce 20 or more insurance policies weekly. This training is not specific to any kind of insurance niche, market, or product. What I'm going to convey with you is the strategies that any agent with chutzpah and discipline and desire who wants to do a lot of business can implement now in their own business marketing model in order to up their flow of business so they can write a heck of a lot of it. So let's talk about exactly how this works. What I'm going to teach you comes from personal experience doing just the same, as well as training many agents, especially in final expense, on how to scale and how to write a tremendous amount of business a week. So number one is you have to have a system, okay? So you just don't wing it in order to write 20 plus policies a week. Certainly there are agents out there who have an approach that will occasionally write 20, but I'm talking about doing it consistently. I'm talking about doing it as a regular thing. And you've got to have a system about how to put it all together. And we're going to talk about breaking down the system in different aspects in a minute. But essentially it's based around having a lead system that you consistently get lead flow every week in a large enough volume to support you, and that you've got a sales process that facilitates and allows for the number of presentations a week to get 20 plus policies a week. So right now I have an agent who we're doing this with. He orders 80 leads a week. He sees about 40 of them in a presentation and writes 20 to 25 policies a week. Nothing unique other than the amount of activity and this consistency in making it happen. He has the system. He has a sales process that isn't a 2-hour long sales presentation. It's probably about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, absolute tops. And it closes deals very commonly. So you got to have that system if you want to get anywhere close to a consistent level of 20 plus apps written a week. Number two is a scalable lead system. So here's the thing, guys. A lot of you are interested in getting leads. You may think that, say, direct mail and final expense or some other product that you sell is not affordable for you. So you're going to work your referrals. You're going to work your existing book of business. You're going to do things that, yes, there are opportunities to do it. But the problem with it is that there is a low ceiling of scalability out of it. Most people who work referrals, most people who work cold calling aren't going to be able to do enough of it physically in order to write a large volume of production every single week. So the answer in many business systems is based off of direct mail or some kind of Facebook lead or internet lead that's scalable and it can facilitate the kind of activity necessary to write a lot of business. Again, one other thought I just have is, many people have a certain closing ratio that they arrive to, but have marginal level of improvement over time or just maintain. And instead of thinking about, well, how am I going to go from closing 50% of my business to 90%? Sometimes the easier approach is figuring out, well, how can I go from 15 appointments to 30 appointments? And so you've got to have a lead system that can scale to that level. Again, this is how I overcame my frustration at some points where I wasn't making as much as I wanted to because my efforts were focused on how can I go from X closing percentage to Y closing percentage, when it dawned on me that I realized that good enough is good enough. A good enough closing ratio is sufficient. And what my focus needs to be on is instead doing more activity in order to scale up to that point. Number three is an effective and efficient presentation. You can't write 20 policies a week in many cases unless you're doing a one-to-many approach like voluntary payroll deduct. If you've got a long, arduous, overly detailed presentation, where I've seen agents scale their activity and writing 20, 25 plus apps a week, is that they do a bare bones, get down to business sales presentation that answers objections, overcomes them before they're an objection, and closes. That is what you need to focus on. How can you get your presentation down to the bare minimums where it's still effective? And then, again, scaling like we talked about later into doing more of those every day. Another point that's really important, if you want to do more activity in general, much as well as writing 20 plus policies a week, is outsourcing low dollar activities. So, can you sell Medicare final expense? If you're doing all the appointment setting, maybe, but it's going to be extremely enduring. And it would be a lot simpler if you outsource that activity to somebody who can do it for you. You'll free up more time to run more appointments, is my point, to hit that production goal with a low threshold of covering the cost in order to do it. All it really takes is one, maybe two extra sales, and you're net even, but you've got tons more time to continue to produce and sell and do presentations. You also want to consider outsourcing things like, say, for example, your application reviews, your following up with prospects, handling these minutiae and details. You are literally a sales presentation machine if you're going to be doing 20 plus policies a week. So think of yourself that way and work towards only doing just that, where you're like an assembly line for sales presentations. Number 5, I think this is helpful, probably more realistic with this idea of selling large volumes of product, is sell a simple product. You don't need some elaborate, complex, low, a super niche type of product. You can get and scale up to large levels of activities by representing one product. Final expense is predominantly what I do, but I've seen the same strategy work for Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage, also other products like auto insurance, simple products that are just mainline, mainstream type of products that are simple to understand, have a huge mass market to sell to, and are easy to implement a scalability type of strategy. So that's how I've done it. That's how I've taught other agents to do it. And this is the strategy you can put into force if you want to take your activity level up to crazy amounts of production. What I did and what I teach agents to do at these high levels is not that much different than what you're doing currently right now. With a few tweaks to the presentation style, to the thought process of what matters the most, you too can scale up to high levels of production and see better results out of what it is that you're doing. I hope you enjoyed this training. If you like, please subscribe, share, also comment if you got any questions. I'm happy to clarify anything. And make sure you visit my website at davidduford.com if you'd like to find out more about how I help insurance agents become top producers, just like I've described in this video. Thank you for watching. See ya.